As King Valdemar of Denmark sails for the east, our Thor army was decreased by a significant number to ease up our income a bit. Just leaving them there for no reason seemed like such a waste, and we didn't want to muster a third army to stay put, as that would be way too expensive. Besides, now we are also able to save up our gold in reasonable time so we can actually make some improvements to our land. Once we made it ashore, the army of our puppet had already marched out. They were practically at the gates of our enemy, which is also why we didn't accept this peace offer by them. Like, how are we supposed to trust these unreliable and opportunistic people to lay down their arms? This denial caused a reaction by the Jotungians. Suddenly, they had mustered more than enough levies to force a tactical retreat out of our army. To make matters worse, we couldn't really move to their rescue as the winter hindered us from moving anywhere. Unless we wanted to suffer from attrition, that is. Personally, I'd say a small sacrifice of a couple of 100 warriors is worth saving our allies and progressing in our actions in the name of Christ. So we laid camp on the borders to the infidels and prepared for the long march. The following summer we received the horrible news of a horse lord from further east has mobilized against the world. Honestly, I doubt they will ever become a threat to us and our prestigious warriors. Nevertheless, we had to prepare. So in that case, we also started to levy forces of our own vassal to participate in our expedition. The cavalry will serve us well as we march into the wild. In a way, you can actually say the same thing for our priest, as he reached Sweden in the same season along with our Thor army. Both were required to keep this underwhelming plot of land under control. To the south, we gave an audience to a diplomat of the county of Brunswick. Together we agreed upon a trade deal that over time would lead to prosperity for both of us. In terms of politics, most of our governors had learned so much from their works that they started to demand a higher position in court. Thus, both Niels, Jorn and Sivard were running for the position as Baron of the Exchequer. I guess that's how you pronounce it, I don't know. A position that will be profitable for the entire kingdom and not just their own individual fame. However, after that bit of dull work, we chose to defy Mother Nature once again and traverse through the snow, despite the casualties, to besiege the Jotungian capital. Yet as we attempt to prepare for another siege like back in Göteborg, this time the foreigners didn't know of our military prowess and thus sallied out to attack us. After King Valdemar called his men to arms, he deployed his army like this. Our regular Danish sword infantry would be placed in the vanguard to soak any charge from our enemies. Behind them, we had our prized crossbowmen with enough armor piercing to bring down an entire retinue of knights. This is why we kept a large reserve of 3 units of spearmen and of course our Holy Templar Knights. The king himself was right behind that, while our other cavalry contingents protected our infantry corps from the flanks. However, as we discovered the enemies were kinda out of formation on the left, we took most of our cavalry to hunt them down. But the thing is, when we gave the orders, we didn't take our heavy armor into consideration. So as the enemy were mostly light cavalry, we never actually caught up with them. This terrible miscalculation led to us make a tactical retreat back to the main force that by now was under heavy pressure by the hostile cavalry and skirmishers. As our front line started to crack up, we deployed the reserves. Through their efforts, we even managed to kill the enemy commander. Because of this, King Valdemar used this momentum of ours to personally lead the counter-offensive on the left flank, as a feint for the infantry on the right to push back the enemies and then into their flanks. This turned out to be the all-deciding move, which led to us narrowly scoring a victory. Despite us winning against so heavy odds, you can't help but feel a bit down after us losing so many fine warriors so far from home. Yet again, it must be said that the Pope will be pleased with our military contribution, despite it not actually being the ones he called the Crusade upon. Another piece of damning news was the political obstruction that blocked Niels and John from being appointed as barons of the Exchequer, whatever. With our weak power base over our realm, this forced us to use one of our political favor. Tragic indeed, as I hope to save them for the future. However, King Valdemar would take advantage of this setback and use it as fuel for his army to seize Gardinas, which was left practically defenseless after we slaughtered their counter-attacking forces. With this shit pile of a city, we knew it was way too far from home and thus had to be released, in time at least. Yet we still wanted to add our own touch to the land and thus renaming the settlement to Dania. This campaign into the east has certainly made wonders for the King's Guard and its morale and integrity. By now we had at long last saved up enough gold to improve the castle of Aalborg. In time it will be the largest settlement in the entire north. This ambition will certainly be helped if we are to build a Catholic priory as well. Baltic paganism was almost eradicated. Neman, the settlement we just captured, only needed to be converted, while there also were a few lingering around in Lithuania. And although we prayed to the end of the conflict in one single crusade, the foul Scots from across the sea, and on the other side of our kingdom I might add, declared war on us. Kæmpe røvhuller. We will have to return at another time. Thus the honor of Thor sailed back to Aalborg, where they will muster new and improved units for their army, while they wait for the king to return home. He did set sail the following summer, right after announcing the conversion plot for Dania. Sadly, it was overshadowed by assassination schemes on our heir as well as defamation plots on our royal family, causing King Valdemar's political power to falter even further. This forced us to cancel our construction in our new land and instead transferred it over to Pomerania, our puppet state. This extra gold was instead spent on developing the lands around Aalborg even further, with the intention of building sanitation works to get rid of this plague that is consuming our land. Also, the mines of Stralsund will be expanded to increase our gold reserves. It was around this time we achieved our first major technological advancement. It was in the military field, allowing us to improve our holy knights. However, with everything going on at home, we saw the potential to focus on more civic matters such as city charters. This new technology of ours will soon be put into use at Hamburg, where we already can muster Templar knights for our armies. They will join us in our invasion of Scotland to symbolize the church is on our side in this matter. We did also make space for a new building in Copenhagen. However, we didn't actually know what to build there. Perhaps another commercial building, or maybe a university to speed up our technological progress. If we are to do that, we will quickly advance ahead of our opposition. You know, that might actually not be all that bad of an idea when I'm thinking about it.